All right, welcome everyone to the April 12th, 2024 Public Health and Safety meeting. First, I just want to welcome everybody. We have council members Mike Simonson, Cindy Rickards, and myself. And we have Borough Manager Matt West, Mayor Andrea Deutsch, Chief John String, and Public Works Director Jeff Sullivan here. And we'll start with the first item on the agenda, which is the approval of the public health and safety minutes for March 8th. Motion.
I will move to accept the minutes of the March 8th, 2024 Public Health and Safety meeting.
In a second. 15 seconds. And all in favor? Okay, minutes are approved. We don't have any presentation items.
Not this month.
And then, so that brings us to item 3.1, the Deli and Price traffic study. John, do you want to give an overview?
There was a crash, I guess probably going on 8 weeks ago now. I guess the nature of the crash led to some concern because it was a rollover. Based on the investigation, there was a failure to obey the posted stop sign in there. The rollover is more of I guess, a physics problem than anything. There wasn't speed associated with it or anything, unusual there. But just based on the nature of it, we got concerns addressed through MyGov and then a petition from 50 plus residents that were concerned and looked for a four-way stop sign to be installed there. In response to that, we conducted a limited assessment of the intersection, primarily focused on speed and movements through the intersection. And those are the two primary warrants that we look through to identify whether or not additional stop signs would be warranted. The traffic and the speed did not meet the warrants listed by PennDOT. So, based on that, there's no recommendations for additional traffic control devices. However, based on the nature of the concern presented by the residents, we felt that additional studies may be warranted through the traffic engineer, which can look into sight lines and things of that nature. One of the things may be, reducing or increasing the no parking at a corner distance to provide a little bit more sight lines for, cars approaching, things of that nature, but they're better adept to address those issues than we are. So the recommendation is to engage the township's traffic engineer to do a study there formally and then present us with findings.
Okay, any discussion?
And if I could just add to that, thanks to the chief for putting those details together. If you'll notice, a part of this meeting packet was a Borough Council action item request form. That's something that I'm introducing for council this meeting cycle as a way to formalize our motions, depending upon where the request is coming from, whether it's from a public works department or police department or admin, to have this one sheet memo that will be attached to the meeting packets that will really help council make better decisions by having everything in one piece of paper. And what it also does is that it identifies the potential budget impact as well as the committee recommendation. So hopefully we'll get a recommendation of this committee, and then that will then go on to Borough Council, I'm hoping at next Thursday's meeting. And just to highlight the budget impact, this will have a minimal, a very minimal impact on our budget. We have $20,000 included in the 2024 budget for traffic engineering services, of which we have the entire amount still available. So this is a minimal investment with a potential maximum return.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I loved it. Whoa, look at that.
Yeah, we'll get it. Yeah, and then you'll also see motion sheets at the council meeting, which will all be connected to help you all better navigate your public meetings.
And so the next steps are to move this forward to.
Yeah, if there isn't any other further discussion by council, I would, staff asks that this committee take action and recommend whether or not this moves on to full council for consideration at their meeting next week.
So we do that by motion.
Yes.
All right, and I will so move.
Actually, I wanted to just open it up for public comment. Because we are taking action on this item.
I just wanted to, I have not been by the intersection recently, but based on sightlines, I just want to make sure that all the property owners have cut back any trees or brush that might be blocking signs that are to be in accordance with borough code?
From my recollection, I don't believe that there's anything that's blocking the signs. I think the concern is going to become when you're at the stop sign, which is clear, what's the sight line of the
Okay,
roadway?
so
So,
more topography,
yes.
okay.
And that is, that's a really good point. And that's something that will be included in the traffic study that the engineer will perform. They will look at those sight lines and identify anything and document those in their report.
Okay,
There is the brush on the one corner looking up from Price from Dudley, that seems to block the sight.
I think both ways. It depends if you're going north on Dudley, I think on either side, there's definitely a little bit of obstruction there. So, and then the Borough Association put out, like we had a webinar that PennDOT sponsored, and one of the things that was what they were talking about, like this daylighting where we need to increase visibility between intersections as a, increase in safety. So that's definitely something that I think the traffic engineer will look at.
It's really coming down.
Yeah.
I'm kind of regretting the decision to walk here.
I think you're right, so.
Yeah. Okay, any other, if you have comments?
Hi, thanks. Joe Stratton. I live on the corner of Price and Dudley at 402, which is the northwest corner. Just two comments. One, thank you so much for all the attention and seriousness with this request has been taken. I guess the second comment, then one more. There was one accident, which was really dramatic, but there have been a series of accidents that we as neighbors have seen over time. And I think it's been a perpetual concern, but the more recent accident really drove us to action. And the other is just regarding living on the corner. I do a lot of gardening. I hang out in my side yard. And I submitted like last time just a series of observations of what I call near misses. And what surprised me in my observations is people will approach that corner north or south on Dudley, and they will look and see the car coming in the other direction on Price, and then enter the intersection. So there could be some element of obstruction, visual obstruction, but I was surprised by the frequency with which someone came up to the stop sign, stopped at the stop sign, looked and saw the car coming on Price, either east or west, and then drove into the intersection. Happened once again just yesterday when I was out my gardening. And so I look forward to the traffic engineer study. I'm certainly not one. But I did want to share that it's impressive to me the number of times that people see the car coming on Price, the car on Dudley sees the car coming on Price, and enters the intersection anyway, which in my non-engineering mind creates some sense where there's a perception that that other car is going to stop, and then that the car on Price is going to stop. That perception by the driver on Dudley. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. Is there any other public comment related to the Billy and Price intersection? We will have a public comment at the end. Can I have a motion to?
Now, I'll try again. I would like to move to recommend to the council as a whole that they engage in the traffic studies.
Second.
And all in favor? Okay, and that's moving to the next item, discussion items, additional trash collection and business service.
Yep, thank you. So if you remember at the last meeting, we discussed the additional trash collection in the business district. I have not had any time to put together a path forward yet. The idea that I'm thinking of, and I've spoken to several of you about, members of council about, is to develop a survey that would be distributed to business owners within the business district, so we can get a better understanding of where they use their trash, like where they take their trash. Right now, it's best guessed. I've got some good sources in the business community who tell me that with pretty good accuracy of who's using what dumpster and and where their trash is going. But I would like something to be objective, to have some sort of data that we can use that can help us better develop a funding mechanism for the next budget cycle. Because there still is, if you remember, there still is about $12,000 worth of unbudgeted trash collection that is occurring, which is down from $47,000. But I would, in a perfect world, I would still like that to be zero. And so I just wanted to keep it on this agenda, keep it in the forefront of our thoughts. I don't have anything to show this committee yet. I just wanted to get an update of where my thoughts were, and I'm hoping to develop that survey that will be, the way I'm thinking about it, I think the most effective approach to get that information, that data, would be for an in-person survey, visiting each one of these businesses, having a discussion with the business owner and then the property owner, because the business owner, if there are apartments on the second, third floors, that business owner might not have a good understanding where the residences are using their trash. And so it should also go to the business owners, or the property owners, because they would have a better understanding of where the renters. So it might be too big of an undertaking, but that's where I think we should go. I'm thinking this summer is a good idea, or a good tentative schedule to get that data collected, which will then plug into next year's budget making season.
There are an awful lot in many weeks. I can go by the public trash cans and see full trash bags thrown in the public trash cans, and I can only assume those are residents that are, maybe don't know where to put the trash.
That's what our assumption is also, and our public works department does daily trash sweeps, and that is their intelligence also telling me that that's where most of the apartment dwellers are disposing of their trash. And I don't know, Jeff, if you have anything else to add to that, but that's what my sources have indicated. And that's something that I would also like to get a better understanding of and help us better manage it moving forward. Unfortunately, the history of it has been reactionary. I would like us to be proactive, because it's not fair to the residents who are living in our community, in our business community, to have to think about where their trash is going. There needs to be clear expectations of where their trash should go. And that needs to be a communication with the residents and the property owners and the borough.
And for public edification or for public knowledge, where should the residents above the stores on the south side of Haverford Avenue be putting their trash?
On the south side,
On the south side?
like that's 230, right?
No, it's where the Reese's is. All the apartments above there,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of apartments above. Where should they be?
Property owners should be providing trash containers for them.
Okay.
So that's what I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've heard stories. I've heard some observations. I believe many of them are using the dumpsters along Commerce Lane. That is contributing to the overflowing dumpsters on Commerce Lane, which is the additional pickup that we're paying for. So that's what I'd like to discover.
Cindy had a comment?
Yeah, no, just some institutional history, because we've truly been talking about this for 6 years. And Andrea, I fully agree with you. You look at on Haverford Avenue on the north side, there are residential Glad kind of trash bags overwhelming the public refuse. But it's also, when we talked about this truly probably 6 years ago, there was a business that is very clearly using the public trash specifically for their business that is very identifiable. And I actually popped in and said, hey, I'm just curious why you use the public trash. And they said, that's not ours. And I said, no, like this very specific, obvious trash right outside your business. And they flat out denied it and said, nope, that's not our trash. And I bring this up because it's the enforcement piece that becomes the issue. I remember a former council member wanted police officers to look through the trash, identify, and we all said, no, that is probably not a good use of law enforcement time. But I appreciate you don't want to survey and have businesses kind of tattletaling on other businesses, and yet we can inform property owners and we can inform businesses, but unless we can figure out the enforcement piece, I don't know how that behavior changes.
I think it's going to be difficult the enforcement piece will be difficult. Always is difficult. And so the borough has a role to play and that we have to provide public health and safety to residents. And so I think that like the spirit of where I'm moving towards is how can the borough identify what the true volume is, where that volume goes, how much we pay for it, and then, you know, enforcement is going to be very difficult to do. And so the end around is to identify what that true value of the cost of trash is and assign it to those people who are using it. Let's accept the fact that the borough plays a role to collect that trash. I want to quantify it. I want to understand how much it is, who's doing it, and then assign that value to those businesses and or residents. That's what I'm thinking the solution is, because I have a hard time thinking that the enforcement is going to be easy to do. If we haven't figured it out by now, it's not going to be something that's going to be easily attainable. So that's where my thought is, identify the true volume of trash. That's the part of it that we don't have. We don't have really good data about what that true volume is, because the borough historically has been absorbing many of those costs, whether it be through public works or the unbudgeted additional costs to the trash. It is a busy day today. Wow, competing with the rain, now the fire trucks. So I'm hopeful that the solution is financial, and that if we can identify who's doing it, because it's a thing, you can measure that thing, you can see it. It results in some sort of trash bag of something, so ending up somewhere. Identify where it's coming from, what that true volume is, and then adjust our solid waste fees accordingly to absorb those costs. I don't want to see trash piling. That's not good for the borough. That's not a good image. And that's my passion, to get our business community looking like it's well kept and well run. Trash and parking, parking and trash, trash and parking, parking and trash.
The timeline is summer to do the building.
I think that's realistic.
And so there's nothing that you need maybe before then.
No, it's just more informational and just kind of informing this committee of where my head is at and what type of work product I'm looking to develop. And I also think that by doing it in the summer, it will help me get more data, because right now it's a slower time. Seasonal, right? You'll get more trash in some seasons than others. Just
I definitely notice the trash overflowing in the summertime.
Yes. Right.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, move on to the next agenda item. 4.2, single-use product regulation ordinance update. Do you want to give an overview or?
Hey, this is just more informational for this committee, in that our single-use product ordinance is going to into effect in September, and we'd like to get out front of it and take the lead on making the notifications known for our business community. And thankfully, our Councilmember Barak has been developing some nice graphics, which were included in the meeting packet for this meeting. And we're looking at a business flyer and a restaurant guide as one-pagers that we can distribute, and hopefully restaurants and businesses downtown will post them. Get out in front of it so they understand what the regulations are. And the communications plan, which is also on the agenda, is how we're going to distribute them to the businesses. We're going to have these conversations with them in person. And I believe it was Vice President Rickards who brought up the easel sign idea at the last meeting, if I remember correctly. Thankfully, an easel sign has been developed, and we're looking to integrate those into the communications plan. So be on the lookout. We'd like to get them out in the next month or two, just to start getting everybody familiar with the updated regulations.
It also seems to make sense to send out a letter that's going to the number of businesses. Is there some sort of email list that we have, or?
I would,
Maybe
Ridgeway.
I always default to Ed Ridgeway and the Northbrook Business Association. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
did have one question about the signage I saw on the packet. It says no, previously used, anything, no paper bags other than previously used paper bags. And I thought that the regulation was like, if you give out paper bags, you could, but with a
That's what which part are you looking at?
there was a sign, like, there was a sign, and I just, it was confusing to me when I.
Yeah, but at the bottom, it talks about non-compliant with charge of fee,
Okay,
Well,
right?
compliant recycled bags.
Right.
There's a minimum fee of 10 cents.
Right,
New reusable bag, same thing.
right. Oh. So you're saying there's a third category?
there's paper bags, there was a fee.
Reusable.
So non-recycled paper bags, is
Yeah.
that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Those are banned, those are prohibited.
Non-recycled paper bags.
Right, so that,
So just paper bags you buy, a store buys to give out their goods.
right,
Those are banned.
correct. And then you amendment fee. So those are,
Okay.
you know, not.
So how does a store that sells small goods, say like a pet store, and you have
Just hypothetically.
say just hypothetically a pet store, you have 6 bags of treats, and if the customer comes in without a bag,
You
how
need
do
a
you-
compliant, recycled paper bag or,
you can buy recycled paper bags,
Yeah.
paper bags made of recycled product.
yes,
I see, okay, and that was where it was confusing,
okay.
okay.
I mean, do you think we need to clarify the signage? Is that, you guys?
I was just a little confused, like, I mean, so you can buy paper bags at the retail supply store, that are made of recycled content. Yeah, is that right?
Correct.
Okay,
So can I read from the ordinance?
yeah,
I think it might clarify. It says, under recycled paper bags, effective September 3rd, commercial establishments are prohibited from providing a new non-recycled paper bag to a customer at the commercial establishment. A commercial establishment may provide a customer a new recycled bag at a point of sale if the bag is provided to the customer for a charge of not less than 10 cents per bag.
okay. So it's just gotta be made of recycled content,
Yes,
okay,
and that would need to be 10 cents a bag.
Which brings me to, I think both of these, communication things, both the easel sign and the flyers that's going to be distributed to the businesses will have a QR code that takes you to an information webpage. And that's something that you can work with them. And do you guys need anything from the committee to help put that together, or do you need?
I think it would be a good idea for, since much of the copy is coming from you, if you provide that copy and staff can develop a web page within the website, the borough's website, and then this committee can review that for clarity. I'm always a fan of less words, more graphics, and to make it clean. And I believe that's the most effective way to communicate those regulations to the public. Most people don't read anymore. It's my,
Is that something that needs to be done in the committee meeting? Because I don't want to delay this too much.
I don't think so. I think that's a staff level thing. If you provide us copy, we can build that, and then it's a next agenda. Hey, this website, this webpage is available. Any comments on it? If none, we move on.
Gina, I had one little nit. So one of the things that talks about is 10 cents each for single-use plastic utensils.
Right.
So if somebody hands you a wrap of fork, knife, and spoon, which sometimes they come together, is that 10 cents or 30 cents?
Oh.
Is this per utensil or is it per utensil or utensil?
The ordinance specifies.
It says 10 cents per utensil, or set of utensils. 10 cents.
Okay, so maybe we should say, it's a little ambiguous, but maybe we need to just explain that in the cover letter.
Yeah, and then with regards to the plastic utensils, they need to be requested. They can't just into the calendar. So, sorry, what, did you have a recommended minute for that?
I guess single use, well, I think to add another line there, because the graphics are clean, but single use plastic utensils, individual or set is what I would say in parentheses, but
Or just change it to per set. All
Yeah.
missing.
Mhm. And maybe that could just be something that's clarified.
yeah, that's what I was saying, just in the letter.
Yeah,
I think it's clear, it reads pretty clear to me.
Yeah,
um,
but only because it says 10 cents each, and then like,
But that's
but the each
set.
is the three thing, right, but it doesn't say set here, it just says
Oh,
single use plastic utensils on the graphic, so that's why I was like, what, each, does each refer to? So,
well, we can clarify that in the letter and also the web page is on it.
Yeah, that's something that can also be done outside of this committee.
Yeah.
You review it, forward Gene your comments about anything that you'd like to see on that graphic, and we can make that happen.
But the graphic looks really good, I thought it was pretty clean and like one page.
Okay, anything else that I could do?
I think just my only comment would be is lessons learned from the first ordinance, which is really the key is enforcement and letting businesses know, via Ed and the NBA that first there'll be a written warning and then there is in fact a fine for businesses. And we had some businesses that just kept giving plastic bags and just tacked on the 35 cents, which is not at all the spirit of the law, which is to reduce plastics, not to give businesses 35 cents or 25 cents for the plastic bag. So I do think in the message we send to Ed should be maybe some enforcement guidelines from Kevin, and that we in fact do enforce it for those businesses that just kind of try to skirt the spirit of the law.
The ordinance says that the borough manager has the responsibility,
So lucky you, yeah.
or they're designated. So I could designate Kevin, he's gonna love it. Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Okay, there's nothing else. I guess we can move on to the next agenda item, 4.3 pedestrian bike accessibility. So there's the mainline greenway update, which, so we had a meeting with Lower Merion Township, reviewing proposals for signage fabrication. And we are moving forward with a specific firm, and they're looking at fall implementation for that. So we're working together with the township and the borough staff to make sure that goes out. And one of the things that had come up, and I just wanted to flag it with, the original plan was to have the wayfinding signage posted on the stop signs at the intersections for turns. And the PennDOT advised that for their roads, that they do not put it on the stop signs. And because of that, I think on their side, the traffic safety unit will likely not support putting that on their local roads either. So that's something that came up from that discussion. And we looked at the location in Narber, and it does look like there's some alternative locations that we can place the signs if we choose not to put it on the stop sign. And I believe, John, you recommended not putting them on there.
Right, that would be my recommendation.
So there are some alternative locations. I think there might be one location where we don't have an alternative, so we'll have to think about whether we need to add a post or do something else, or rely on just pavement markings for that intersection. So we'll work through those details. And then we also had the Lower Merion and Narber Active Transportation Steering Committee, a lunch and learn meeting. and Matt, we were there.
Yep.
And we were able to go over the survey insights that the Montgomery County Planning Commission had put together. And it was very, very informative. There was a lot of data collected, again, 1,800 survey respondents, which, you know, that's amazing. That's an amazing response. And over 370 comments collected through the pedestrian bicycle map. And so we went through that and, any like highlights you wanted to, from that meeting?
It was a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that were covered. But essentially, they're going to draft the final plan, which will be a toolbox kit of recommendations for certain types of roads, as well as a focused set of recommendations for specific areas like Haverford Avenue. And they're going to work on plan revisions over the summer, and then look at adopting the plan in the fall of this year. I also shared that the survey results with Simone Collins, because there's some overlap with the master park planning process. And I also just want to note that Saturday, April 27th, there's a Mainline Greenway Family Fun Ride that starts at Barley Trailhead at 9 a.m. And another ride on May 3rd, Friday, the Greater Valley Forge Transportation Unit is hosting a bike ride that will go from Spread Bagelry and Linwood through Ann Arbor and ending at Kismet Bagels. Bagel ride. Yeah.
Bagel. Yes.
And there will be a press event at Kismet Bagels to celebrate. They put in a crosswalk right in front of Kismet at the intersection of Woodbine and Montgomery. And so as part of the Mainline Greenway improvement. And also on Saturday, Narberth Day, Saturday, May 4th, the Lommering and Narberth transportation plan will be presented by the Planning Commission, Montgomery County Planning Commission at the Narberth Day, and they'll have a table there, and they'll be providing information to people there. Any discussion, question?
I was just looking at the borough's webpage for the active transportation plan, and I'll post that memo that was circulated, which was essentially the presentation from yesterday, and I'll do that here.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay. Thank you. And if there's nothing else, I can move on to committee reports. The Environmental Advisory Committee, we may have a report next month, that looks like. We have the Police Advisory Committee, and we'll have the report next month as well. Rebecca, do you have any other updates?
Yeah, we realized as we were working on our draft at the last meeting that a lot of the data that we had was from before Chief Strain's arrival, and that we couldn't get a clearer picture. So we're going back. I saw that there was an extensive email this morning that I haven't had a chance to read. So fingers crossed, you will have it in time for the next meeting. This is also a good time. We've been sort of beginning to consider what our next project is now that we're sort of taking this holistic look at things. But and we've been working with the mayor and Chief String on helping them sort of put eyes on policy revisions and so forth. However, if there are any specific projects that are generated out of this committee, this is a good time to begin to present us with our next task.
Okay, so that's something for the committee to think about moving forward. Any questions or? All right, thank you. And moving on to item 6, departmental reports. The fire company report, the monthly report is attached. Anything else from that? And then 6.2, police report. John?
Just in addition to the report attached, I had gotten the whatever you want to call it, material for the dog walker watch program from National Night Out. So we're able to offer that. I just want to confirm that, you know, we should advertise and host the event here. National Night Out, Manchester City can come out and well, very often to assist as well, since they've brought the class several times, but we could, you know, have one here for the borough residents if that's still what.
Oh, that's
Committee.
great. So how would that work, like logistically? In terms of is it just the awareness campaign or is it, actually going to be starting?
So we could offer the class, I mean, the training is very much a matter of, you know, safety. Telling people to be mindful of your surroundings, and if you see something, you know, call the police, you know, it's more of like, you know, just be a safe contributor to the community, I guess is the best way to frame it. So, but it would be a presentation. They would come into the, you know, building and we'd offer them a class and talk about like when you're out walking your dog that you can be alert to different things.
Okay, what was the date for that again?
I don't have it set, so I just want to
Okay.
confirm that. I know there was some back and forth the last time when we brought it up and I was researching, so if it's something the committee wants, I can definitely set it up.
Yeah, I'm supportive of it, because we have heard from Jeff, that there's some issues around Narberth Park. Especially as it gets darker at night. And I know there's a lot of dog walkers that go around that park, so it's, you know, it seems like a win-win. We do have to, I know Cindy has mentioned some concerns about, crossing the line, but I think that's why the training.
Over engagement.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
engagement.
We could definitely stress that as a,
Right, so I think
No.
that's why the training is important to provide that kind of direction.
I am as well in favor of it. I do share some of the concerns that Cindy has shared with regard to people overstepping their role and feeling empowered to do things beyond which we would like them to do. That is helpful.
I heard somebody else describe it in another form as, you know, you're just being the eyes and ears. Yeah, you're not being the hands,
Yeah.
just the eyes and ears. I
Hands
think
only
that's a
that
good way.
call police.
Right, hands are for the police, eyes and ears, you know,
Yeah.
you're just, that's all it is, eyes and ears. You hear something, you see something, you say something.
And it might be helpful, and maybe you already know, in the discussion with them, if they have had any issues related to that.
I can ask, yes.
Yeah. Cindy, do you have anything to add?
No, I shared my concerns. You know, I would just be mindful of the history of kind of town watches and vigilante justice and dogs that may not be appropriate, you know, and folks feeling emboldened to question folks who they don't believe are members of our community. But again, I trust John String to handle this.
Thank you
Yeah.
for looking into that. And is there any update on the bike patrol training?
I'm still waiting. So Upper Darby is the only regional one that offers it. They don't have a recertification class currently scheduled. So they said that hopefully as weather broke, that they will put something on the calendar. But that's unfortunately our only option short of sending somebody to the training to become an instructor, which just isn't feasible.
Right. I know that City Ave also has a training program, but I don't know if that's something different. It's probably
So what we're looking for is IPIMBA, International Police Mountain Bike something or other. So they're the certifying body. So if something were to happen liability wise, we want to make sure that, you know, our officers are trained to a certification that's equivalent for police. Well, I'm sure the City Avenue is effective, and I think John Collins was a former IPIMBA instructor, so I'm sure he's doing something adequate. But if their instructor certification is not to date, it's sort of great liability issue for us.
Cindy, do you remember that discussion? I do believe that they do use IPMA training, right? I don't remember exactly, but it might be worth.
I'll ask him, yes.
Okay. Anything else on police?
No, nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. So that brings us to public comment. I ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes, state your name and address. Are there any public comments?
John Constantine, 400 North Narberth. I've attended several police advisory committee meetings over the past year and a half, 2 years. I applaud their efforts. However, I don't get a sense of what recommendations that are going to be proposed. I mean, there were some listening sessions, but none for a general, session. There were some for business session or some other. But it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of participation going on from them meetings. My concern is when you call the police, you expect to receive an officer that is free from disabilities that won't affect their duties in coming to assist and help. I think we need to look at why we employ or continue to employ officers who have tinnitus, which is very serious. If they cannot hear the complainant, and which also gets exasperated by their PTSD, anxiety.
Matt, I'm sorry. I'd like to interject and just remind that we're not able to talk about anything that's being handled by Solicitor Walco, and just ask the manager if this is appropriate for public comment or something that should be referred to Solicitor Walco.
Can you please give me my time?
I think it's
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask Manager West to make sure that we're appropriately.
It's difficult
Got
it's difficult.
I'm looking for forward-going action.
Excuse me. It's difficult to say, no, you can't talk about it during public comment. This body will not comment about it. So public comment.
And I don't know.
Excuse me. The resident can speak.
Okay, thank you. I know in the past Solicitor Walco has warned not to discuss litigation. So thank you, Manager West.
Yeah, I certainly
I
direct.
don't know what litigation you're
Council
talking about. There is no litigation. I'm looking for action so that the public remains safe. You just previously said to call the police when you have a problem. Well, the public needs to understand that they're going to get someone who is qualified to handle a difficult situation. Okay? When they have disabilities that can lead to people being tased because of their ineptness, medications or whatnot, I don't know what, that needs to be addressed. You're on the cutting edge of environmental activities. Let's be on the cutting edge of ensuring that our police force is fully charged and without these disabilities, for lack of a better word. I mean, I have nothing against military people or anything, but if they're collecting a disability from the military, that must mean there's something wrong with their ability to carry out the duties of a police officer. They should not have interaction with the public. Now, we should get them the help that they need. I'm all for that, but we need to address the situation. Let's not cover it up.
Thank you for your comment. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. So, go ahead.
Rebecca Starr, 156 Marion Avenue. My comment is I'm really excited that we're doing so much about bike transportation, both for our police officers, but also in conjunction with Lower Marion. I hope that going hand in hand, we do bicycle helmet safety, PR, I don't know if we want to do enforcement, but that we make sure that we're keeping especially our kids safe with helmets.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca.
I have one comment that maybe Matt, you can put in the newsletter. We always talk about clearing the sidewalks of ice and snow. I had a neighbor complain to me that the some of the sidewalks are getting overgrown with, spring, since it's spring, they're getting a little bit overgrown with the grass and it's making it difficult for them with a double stroller. And they notice other people, single strollers, trying to get down the sidewalks. And so they're ending up in the street because it's easier. And so I think if we could just put in the newsletter, just a reminder, please trim back, just take an edger, trim back your sidewalks.
That is an annual reminder, and that goes in as well.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny, the kids are, 22 and 19, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, no,
But I wasn't paying attention to it.
That
until they
is,
mentioned it.
the secondary, and there's multiple annual reminders, lock your doors,
Yeah,
clear the sidewalks.
It's another spring
Cut your
thing.
brush, spring cleaning, time to make sure the sidewalks are clear of branches and leaves and brush. And make sure that if you have a property, you cut back any flora that may be blocking signs. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So I just wanted to mention that. And with that, I'll move to adjourn.
comments for the good of the public or?
Oh, sure.
I just wanted to remind people, we did mention Narb Earth Day on the 4th. We will be having a park dedication at 11 a.m.
Right.
March 4th of the new 3 Elmwood Park. And all are invited to attend and celebrate our new open space.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll try again. And with that, I will move to adjourn.
A second?
We got some.
All in favor? All right, we are adjourned at 10:45 a.m. Thank you.